Welcome back to another race, you guys. My name is Tyler, and tonight is night number 2 of the AGCO-Jackson Nationals at the Jackson Motorplex in Jackson, Minnesota. Last night on night number 1, we saw the madman Kerry Madsen run wild on the field, charging from 14th all the way up to a win in dominating fashion over Logan Schchuchart and the rest of the Outlaws. Tonight, though, is a brand new night with a fresh redraw, and we've got a lot of points on the line as we head into that final night. We're running a special format for the AGCO-Jackson Nationals, which allows drivers to accumulate points in qualifying, heat races, and then the feature, leading up to that final night for $50,000. Coming into tonight's event, Logan Schchuchart is on top of the AGCO-Jackson National point standings after last night's action, and will accumulate more points through qualifying heat races in the tonight's feature action, leading and setting up Saturday night's main event. So make sure you guys like and subscribe. Check out the previous video from night number 1 to be able to keep up on all the points throughout the AGCO-Jackson Nationals. Coming into tonight's event, Brad Sweet is still on top of the 2021 point standings. David Gravel's in second, about 48 points behind. Then we've got a fierce battle heating up for that third place spot between CARSON MACEDO, SHELDON HAUDENSCHILD, DONNY SCHATZ, and don't look now, but Logan Schchuchart is hanging in there with just a few wins on the season, rolling in some top 5s and consistent finishes. Tonight is night number 2, so let's get right into it. A fantastic night of racing on hand, a fresh redraw. Then we've got qualifying heat race, we've got a B main, a dash, and then feature action tonight, setting up tomorrow night's $50,000 to win main event. Let's get into it. Night number 2 of the AGCO-Jackson Nationals. Let's go. Back, you guys. So we got 35 cars checked into the pits tonight, dueling it out in a 30-lap feature on night number 2 of the AGCO-Jackson Nationals. And in hot laps tonight, Logan Schchuchart, your point leader coming into tonight's event, wouldn't even get a lap under his belt before going back to the trailer slow. He would make it back out for qualifying, but not a good start for the 1S. Fastest overall in hot laps was Sheldon Haudenschild, and we were within 1/10 of a second of the track record set by Kerry Madsen back in 2019 at a 12.58. In qualifying, Jacob Allen goes out early and sets a time of 12.6, and then the next car out is Logan Schchuchart and sets a quick time on the night. He's your fastest overall qualifier at a 12.591 within 1/100th of a second of the track record. We invert 32 cars just like we did last night, which means that Logan will start 8th in his heat race, second in qualifying will start 8th in their heat race, and so on and so forth. So let's get right into heat race action. Heat race number 1 had Jack Dover and Spencer Basin starting on the front row, and Jack Dover wins this one big over a second place Spencer Basin, and Jack will lock into tonight's feature by winning heat race number 1. Logan Schchuchart, Donny Schatz, and Aaron Wrights will all battle for that 5th spot, but ultimately Donny comes home in 5th, Aaron's in 6th, and Logan Schchuchart comes home in 7th. Heat race number 2 had your second fastest qualifier on the night, Jacob Allen, starting in 8th, and he would finish there, struggling to get by cars on a very locked down track. Sheldon Haudenschild battles with Shane Gullibick, but he'll finish in 6th. Up front, Craig Kinzer and Justin Henderson started on the front row, and they finished that way. Craig will lock into tonight's main event by picking up the win in heat race number 2. Heat race number 3 would have DJ Neto and Paige Polyak starting on the front row, while KKR teammates James McFadden and Brad Sweet look to charge forward and make up for some lost ground after qualifying, and they do it. Brad charges up from the 3rd row all the way up into 2nd, and James McFadden follows him into 3rd, getting past Paige Polyak. But up front, the Californian DJ Neto picks up the win in heat race number 3 and locks into tonight's main event. And your 4th and final heat race had some big names. Brian Brown, Gio Scelzi, Kerry Madsen, David Gravel, and CARSON MACEDO were all starting outside of that front row, and they would be charging forward on the first turn, first lap. Kerry Madsen goes around the outside, but spins behind Brian Brown, who goes from the bottom to the top and brings out the first caution of the night, and we'd have a restart. On the restart, Kerry Madsen rips to the top, cutting through traffic, and within 2 laps, he's already up to 2nd, and then passes Russell Borland for the lead with 6 laps to go when David Gravel spins in turn 4 and brings out another caution. And then on the restart, Brian Brown rips around the top, starting in that 2nd row, and gets all the way up to 2nd, looking for Kerry Madsen, but behind them, Russell Borland spins up over the cushion, collects Tim Edson, and we have a red flag. On the restart, Kerry Madsen takes off and picks up the win in heat race number 4. Finishing in 2nd was Brian Brown. CARSON MACEDO actually started in 8th, and he was your 4th fastest qualifier on the night, and he finishes in 3rd here. David Gravel, after his spin, charges up to 5th, trading sliders with Gio Scelzi in the closing laps. Gio ultimately comes home in 5th, and David Gravel will finish in 6th. After heat race and qualifying action, the points were totaled up, and the top 8 guys are going to go into the dash tonight and go to a random redraw and then race for their top 8 starting spots in tonight's main event. Everybody from 9th to 20th is going to start where they are in points, and from 21st on back is going to go to the B main and have to race their way in and hope that they're the first 4 cars to the checkered flag in the B main, and that includes guys like Jacob Allen, Gio Scelzi, and Sheldon Haudenschild, all going to the B main tonight. B main would be 12 laps and set the final 4 cars in tonight's main event, and Sheldon Haudenschild, Jacob Allen, Corey Eliason, and Gio Selzy put on a show on a track that is really widening out. The top is super fast and the bottom is still just as fast as the top, but they put on a heck of a show to get into tonight's main event. Dash is 6 laps into the first 8 cars in tonight's main event, and halfway through the dash, Brad Sweet and Linton Jeffrey get together. Linton spins and brings out the caution. He'll be credited with 8th. Brad Sweet ultimately charged up into the 3rd place finish and will start in 3rd tonight. On the outside of the front row will be the 17W of Shane Golovic, and starting on the pole of tonight's main event will be the 41 of CARSON MACEDO. He was 6th in the ACO-Jackson National overall points coming into tonight and puts himself in a great spot starting on the pole of tonight's 30-lap feature. Starting also inside of the top few rows is going to be Brian Brown and Kerry Madsen. They were battling for 5th and 6th in the dash, and so look for these guys to stay up front tonight, especially Kerry Madsen, starting about 6 rows forward from where he was last night. A lot of guys coming from the back though in this one. Sheldon Haudenschild, we just watched him come from the B. Donnie Schatz, David Gravel, all buried in the back. Aaron Reitzel looking for a huge payday by sweeping both the Houston 50 and the ACO-Jackson Nationals. Starts in the back of this one and has to make up a bunch of points to stay in the front of the total accumulated points. The points leader coming into tonight was Logan Schuchart. He starts in 10th. And then Kerry Madsen, we all know he won last night, looking to dominate again tonight and become the first guy to sweep the preliminary events for the ACO-Jackson Nationals since Jason Johnson did it back 3 years ago. Pair of Californians on the front row, but CARSON MACEDO takes off as Jason Sides, Golovic, and Brad Sweet go 3 wide on lap 1 for second. Brad Sweet goes up into second. On the 5th lap, Kerry Madsen and Brian Brown are battling for 5th. They get together down the backstretch, and Brian Brown spins, bringing out the caution. Kerry Madsen will restart in 5th. On the restart, Brad Sweet stays on the outside of CARSON MACEDO. Carson's running the bottom like a champ, but Brad Sweet is ripping the top. They run side by side for 2 laps, and then Brad takes the lead, but the next lap, Macedo takes it back. 10 laps in the books. Macedo's out in front, and then Kerry Madsen charges past Brad Sweet in 3 and 4. They nearly get together, and Kerry Madsen is up to second and chasing down Macedo as he closes in on lap traffic. Lap traffic is right in front of Macedo. Kerry Madsen's right behind him, stalking him, running the top. Kerry goes to the bottom, slides up in front of Macedo, struggling to get past a lap car, and takes the lead with 18 laps to go. The next lap, Brian Brown gets into the wall and brings out the caution again. On the restart, it's Kerry Madsen, CARSON MACEDO, Brad Sweet, and up into the top 5 is Logan Schuchart from 10th, and PPM from deep in the field is up inside the top 10. On the restart, Kerry Madsen takes off again as everybody's running the top, and James McFadden and David Gravel charge up into the top 10 from deep in the field. With 10 laps to go, Kerry Madsen closes in on some heavy lap traffic, including Jack Dover and Brian Brown. He gets caught up behind them and quickly erases a 2-second lead, slips back into the clutches of CARSON MACEDO and Brad Sweet. Carson throws a slider on him, gets by him for a lap, but Kerry gets it right back the next lap and takes off again as Brad Sweet and CARSON MACEDO battle for second. 5 laps to go, Logan Schuchart continues his charge from 10th all the way up into the top 5 and gets past Brad Sweet for 3rd. It got really interesting in the closing laps in some lap traffic and a lot of positions changed, but ultimately Kerry Madsen took off. He was long gone, way out in front of the field, and he picks up the win on night number 2 of the ACO-Jackson Nationals, becoming the first driver to do that sweep since Jason Johnson did it a few years ago, and picks up World of Outlaws career win number 27, 2 in a row after waiting over 1,000 days, gets 2 in a row back to back. Unbelievable for that number 14 team as we're headed through the summer of money, and Kerry seems unstoppable right now as we're headed into the final night of the Jackson Nationals. The top 4 are locked into tomorrow's main event. The high point man coming into the main event tomorrow will be Kerry Madsen. In second will be CARSON MACEDO. Brad Sweet is in 3rd, and Logan Schuchart, who was high point man coming into tonight, is in the top 4 and locks into tomorrow's main event. Everybody else will be racing for points and get their spot based on points. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, make sure you like and subscribe and share this content and stay up to date for all of the World of Outlaws news throughout the 2021 season. Tomorrow night is the ACO-Jackson Nationals finale, so make sure you guys tune in on Dirt Vision and check back here for a full race review. And until next time, you guys, stay dirty.